Hi everyone, my name is Ulay. I'm 41 years old, and unfortunately, like millions of people in the world, I've been diagnosed with autoimmune diseases. The first one was Graves' disease about 7 years ago, and more recently, early last year, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and sjögren syndrome. Of course, that has not been an easy journey. But I'm here to share my story because there is hope. I will start with my first diagnostic, which was with Graves' disease. So I was diagnosed with Graves' disease when I was 34 years old. I had two young kids, so a 4 years old and a 2 years old. And I had lost a lot of weight, and I was having my period, I was bleeding continuously. So I went finally to see a doctor, and they ran some tests, and they saw that my T3, T4 were very high, really way above the limit. So I was given some beta blocker and some hormone to reduce the production of thyroid hormone. And when I asked why, what could be the reason, the cause for this disease, the endocrinologist I had at the time told me that, it happens to women of your age, especially after having given birth, that can be a trigger. So I was quite surprised by that, but anyway, I started with the treatment. So I was taking carbimazole at that time, to reduce the production of thyroid hormone. And unfortunately, it was not working that well because I was just doing back and forth between increasing the dosage, decreasing when I was within the range, normal range, and then I will go beyond the normal range again, and then I will have to adjust the medication. So it was a lot of up and downs for many years. Until I started to look a bit more at what could I do from natural perspective, especially in terms of diet. And I went to see a naturopath where I was living, I was living in Hong Kong. And that's where actually I got some tests run, and I discovered that I had some intolerances, like food sensitivities and intolerances, like no allergy, but sensitivity to dairy. And also I learned that even though I was not allergic to gluten, but that was not helping for my thyroid issues. And so whenever I started to adopt some changes, like cutting out gluten and dairy, and also managing my stress, doing more exercise, I could see that actually my thyroid level were quite good. I could manage to keep it within normal range. But whenever I had something stressful or even a stressful event in my life, or I was not following the diet restriction anymore, and having a lot of gluten, then it would trigger inflammation again. But I guess at that time, my main symptoms were irritability, actually, insomnia, weight loss, maybe brain fog as well, difficulty to focus. I was, living with it, to be honest. I think I was not probably ready to do really a big change in my lifestyle. So I really went through different periods of up and down based on my lifestyle and how I was managing my stress and my diet. And that went on for like about 7 years, to be honest, until last year, when things deteriorated quickly for me, because suddenly I started to experience really a lot of pain in my joints. It started once actually with my knee. One day I woke up and my knee was very painful and swollen. So I couldn't walk. I was limping. I went to the doctor, and they gave me some anti-inflammatory cream that helped a bit. And then it went away. But then that happened again maybe a few months later. So I did some more tests. And then I was told that I had the rheumatoid factor, which was a bit high, but that didn't mean enough, just the rheumatoid factor in itself. So yeah, the doctor couldn't find anything in particular, so they just asked me to come back if that was happening again. But I would say in Jan 2024, really I started to experience more pain. I couldn't sleep one night because of the pain in my wrists. I could feel my wrists were swollen and red, and like I really couldn't sleep. The pain was too high, so I couldn't sleep. And then I started to have, so it was starting on one side and then the other side. I started to have pain in my shoulder, the left, and then the right. And then I went to see a doctor again who referred me to a rheumatologist, who ran more tests. And that's when we found out that I had rheumatoid arthritis. So I remember, sitting in at the rheumatologist's office, and they was telling me, he was showing me all my blood, tests, indicators, showing me the rheumatoid factor, my inflammation marker, which were very high, the CRP, ESR, and so on. And I was listening to this diagnostic that I had rheumatoid arthritis. I thought, for me, I didn't know anything about rheumatoid arthritis, and I thought it was like a sickness for older people, to be honest. So I asked my rheumatologist, and he told me, no, not at all. It's an autoimmune disease, and which affects mostly women. It affects more women than men, 3 to 4 times more women than men. And it happened usually within this age range of 35 to 50 years old. And we don't know the cause. So when I ask, okay, but what could be the cause? And, I was always asking this question usually. And he was not able to tell me, and ask if I had people in my family who had rheumatoid arthritis, because he was saying that my genes, I have the gene for rheumatoid arthritis, and that we don't know exactly what triggered it. And then they started showing me some pictures of people with deformed hands, basically, and and deformed joints, articulation, to really make me understand, what would happen if I was not, taking the treatment right away. But that if I was okay to start the treatment, I could probably be okay, but I would love to take the treatment for life. So I was very shocked, to be honest, on that during that appointment. So I was trying to process. I wanted to process, alone, but on that day I cried a lot at the office and asked a lot of questions. And basically my understanding was that that's probably going to impact my quality of life a lot, and I will have to be on medication for life. So I asked my rheumatologist, what about anything that I could do to slow down the process of that sickness? Anything in terms of diet? Because I had seen before, actually a few years before, with my thyroid issues, that diet could help. But I guess it didn't reach a point which was so impacting for me that I really was able to make the change in the long term. So my motivation was really a bit always up and down. And people who know me know that I like cooking a lot, baking, doing French patisserie. So that was also quite difficult for me to, avoid dairy, gluten, and so on. But with rheumatoid arthritis, I was really, starting to wonder, okay, do I need to do some more drastic changes in my life? Because right now that is impacting, some days I can't walk. I'm limping to go to my work. I have pain that's really impacting my life. I can't play with my kids. I'm always tired. It's really a different. It took my incomfort into it reached really a different level in terms of impact in my life. So the rheumatologist told me that it was okay for me to try different things, but to be honest, it was not so hopeful. But at least he was open So it was okay for me to try different things. So I tried diet. I told him that I will try some diet changes and lifestyle changes, which I started to do. I started to document myself and learn about inflammation and learn about the gut and the role it plays with the immune system. And basically what I started to understand is that my immune system was really in fire because of long-term chronic inflammation. And what started with grave disease, the thyroid issue, actually slowly increased over the years because I guess I was not managing to reduce the inflammation in my body, and escalated to generate another autoimmune disease, which was rheumatoid arthritis. And so I was really motivated to start the diet, but at the same time I was having a lot of pain. So I said, okay, I'm gonna start the medicine, try the medicine, but at the same time I will make some research so that I can see what I can do to help my condition naturally. So I took the drug that the doctor gave me to reduce the inflammation, but what I didn't know it was that the effect would be quite severe for me in terms of the impact, the side effect of the drug. So I was feeling nauseous. I couldn't walk actually. The day I took the medicine, I had to leave my work because I was really not feeling well. I could just lay down. I could not even have a conversation. So I had to really go home and lay down, and I couldn't. I was in pain really. I was feeling really terrible, even worse than just having the flare of the rheumatoid arthritis when you have pain. And then that made me think. I started to wonder how come the drug makes me even, feeling worse than the sickness itself. So I started to do some research because the drug I was supposed to take it every week. And when I asked the rheumatologist about that, I said that the drug was to reduce the inflammation in my body. But then even this made me think, because I was asking, okay, so how it reduces inflammation? Okay, the doctor told me it will, shut down a bit your immune system. So I was okay, but that means probably I could get more sick, when I take the subway, the train, and I would be more prone to having virus or infection. And he said yes, a little bit more, yeah. So I was not that comfortable, but I decided to do more research about the drug when I really when I took it and I saw the effect it had on me. And then I realized that the drug methotrexate was a chemotherapy drug. Of course, used with a very different dosage. The dosage is 100 times higher in the case of cancer and chemotherapy. But still, it was the same drug used for the treatment of cancer. So I was shocked. I think that was the biggest shock for me, because then I realized that things were getting serious actually in terms of my health, because my body was so inflamed that I could definitively see the next step that could be cancer. I could also started to do some research about the side effect of the drug, and that didn't reassure me in terms of triggering other condition and cancer later in life and so on. So I decided that I need to find a way to heal. I need to find a way to be able to heal myself from those diseases so that I don't have to take the drugs in the long term. So I asked my rheumatologist to give me a few months, like I asked initially 1 month, and see and test again after 1 month my inflammation marker, and that I will try with diet. Unfortunately, the inflammation didn't go away in 1 month. It actually increased. It got worse. So that was the beginning for me of a long journey of learning and researching how I could heal my body. I was really convinced that I could do something about it naturally, that I understood that my body was in fire, that was probably mostly due to, my lifestyle and the environment. And that's, probably there is something I could do about it. And I needed really to, take control of my health and really take ownership of my healing and understand how my body works. I realized that I really needed myself to understand how my body works so that I could heal it. I couldn't see a future where I couldn't play with my kids. I would have no energy, to do anything with my family, with my husband. And really, I could see, frankly, that that would impact the quality of my life and even my life expectancy, to be honest. Even if, that's not something clearly, that was not clearly stated by my doctor. But for me, that was quite obvious, I would say. So I decided to study. I decided to go to do a lot of research, and that has been, an amazing journey for me, because I discovered about the gut, I discovered about the microbiome, I discovered that about the link between the microbiome and the immune system, and how they work together. I understood about food, the food that I eat and what I put in my body, what I think, what I excrete or don't excrete, how it impacts my microbiome and then my immune system. And I realized that it was possible to make change. It was possible to get back the control. And then I started to have some very positive results. And I'll detail, of course, more about all that. But long story short is that, after, I would say, long, for me, and, not an easy journey, I've managed, to reverse all my symptoms and get my inflammation, marker down in normal range. And today I have no symptom of anything. I'm back to the life I had before. Actually, not the life I had when I was in my 30s and 34 years old, when I was diagnosed with the thyroid disease. But I actually feel better. I have more energy than before those years. So all the changes that I've managed to make, have been critical actually to my health. They gave me back my health. They gave me back my energy. And I really would like everyone to be aware actually of how important is our diet, is our thought, how important are our thoughts, how important is physical exercise, and how you can actually reach a point where you can reverse a disease. And that's my story. And I would like more people to realize and to know about, the immune system and how the body works and how diet is so critical to our health. 70% of our immune system is in our gut, and that says already, so much about what we can do when we change our diet and when we feed our body the right things. Today, I'm really super grateful. I'm super grateful, for my health. I have an immense respect and gratitude for my organs, my liver, my stomach, my brain, my respiratory system. It's been really an amazing journey, and everything that I've discovered and learned about, I just want more people to know about it so that they don't have to have the same issues that I had, have one or several autoimmune diseases. And they can maintain their health if they are in a good health, or they can improve their health, if they have, if they experience symptoms, whether it's bloating, brain fog, depression, anxiety. All this is actually linked to the gut. And my goal is really to share information. I'm not a doctor. I'm just someone who wants to share our personal experience and all the things that I've learned, through studying or through my own research. So that's it. So welcome to this journey, and welcome to the Gut Solution.